Hello and welcome to this video demonstrating Google SketchUp, and in this case we're doing a kitchen design. Here we're looking at a model that we've started using dynamic components in the previous two videos, and now we want to demonstrate more presentation aspects of SketchUp and actually taking it to paper. So we're going to be creating scenes and doing some dimensioning. So the first thing I want to do is create some layers for my dimensions, and I'm going to name them to match the elevations that we're going to actually dimension. And that'll work for get us started. So I want to start with them all off. That way as I create scenes, they'll be off in each scene. So the first scene we're going to create is the main scene, which is what we're looking at here. And I can just hit update. So now we've captured this scene, which will have the orientation and whatever layers are on or off. The next thing I want to do is elevation A. And what we want to do is we want to do a front-on view of elevation A. And since it's going to be more orthographic, we're going to put parallel projection on. Now we need to get those walls out of the way. So we will turn off the layers that we don't want to see. And now we're just looking at elevation A. And we can zoom in. And then when I hit the update on scenes, now this will capture what that scene looks like. So if I go back to main, I'm here, and I go back to elevation A, it looks like this. And we want to make it look like hidden lines, so we're going to actually apply a different style. So we go to default styles, which are here, pick hidden line, and I'm also want to turn on a layer that's inherent to the sketch data library that has swings, so now I can actually see the door swings. So if I go back to my scene, I can now update it. So when I go back and forth, it keeps the styles and the layers that are on. So we need to start dimensioning. So I'm going to turn on, make it visible, and actually make it active, the dimensioning for elevation A. And so then we can snap a dimension, and that's a little large, so I'm going to go to my model info, select dimensions, shrink the font, and also go to a slash. And now that everything going forward would have that dimension style, so if I hit select all dimensions, hit update, it makes my old ones match. And I can do some other dimensions across the bottom here. The trick is they're all being placed on dim elevation A. And to check that, we can highlight the dimension and look at our entity info, and they're in dim elevation A. So we need to go to our scene, hit update. So now when I bounce between main, I don't actually see those dimensions down inside there, and I go to elevation A, I do see the dimensions. Now if I go off, it'll look a little weird because they might snap and pull out differently, but as long as I'm looking at an orthographic projection, they look just fine. So we're going to add another scene, which will be elevation A ISO. And in this case, I'm going to turn off the dimension layers. I don't want to see that. And I'm also going to apply a different style, my default style. So now it's colorized. Whoops, we'll go back. And you can apply a whole bunch of different styles, but we're going to find an isometric view of that elevation, and we'll actually go to perspective. And so now when I go back to my scene and update it, when I go main, it's the whole thing, elevation A, traditional drawing view, and then I have a pretty isometric that's rendered, and I can actually turn off the door swings too. So we'll go and turn those off. Once I turn a layer off, then I have to go back and update. So I could continue on and create all the other elevations for elevation B and C and the island and ISO. So you can create scenes that kind of represent whatever you want to put on paper. But for the timing of this video, I'm going to take my Elevation A and show you one approach that works for the free version. If you have Pro SketchUp, you can actually take this to layout, but you can also save this, export it to a JPEG, and we'll call it Elevation A JPEG. We'll replace, I had done one before, and we'll take the ISO and we'll export that to a JPEG. Whoops. To a 2D graphic, we'll call that ISO. And then using OpenOffice, which is a free program, we can use their drawing program, and we can kind of lay these out on paper. So if I go to Page Setup, we'll pick Tabloid, Landscape, and you can insert picture from a file, and if you link it, that way when you update, if you were to export the JPEG again, you can come back in and refresh these links and the pictures will update inside of your drawing here. So I can crop it to get it down to where I want. And then one trick I use for scale is I do my grids and I just define them on a 1/4 inch, and basically you can zoom in, and if I know that's 48, and if I want to do 1/2 inch scale, I can hold the, sorry, find the selector. Now I can hold the Shift key and do uniform scaling to get them to line up and be the correct scale, or get close to it. It's not perfect, but you can get it close. And then I can also insert another picture from File, ISO, and I can bring that in. I lost my other one. Insert picture. Crop it. And like I said, I use the grid just for sizing for scale, but you wouldn't necessarily need to do that if you didn't need to have scale. You've got the dimensions. I can go back and turn my grid line off. I could also insert and not link. I could do a title block. Oops. And I can insert my letterhead, and then you have a pseudo drawing, and you can create multiple pages and export to PDF. That's if you're using the free version, just an idea to get things to paper. If you have layout or a pro version, then you can actually use layout. So we can go here, you can send a layout. Oops, need to save it. And layout has great advantages, easier to scale, more automatic updating, but if you don't have the pro version, you can kind of use some other tools. So we're going to send this to layout. And I can pick a template for letterhead. There's one. And so you see it kind of comes in with the view already. I can resize this view, and where it really works, this is where I can start using my scene. So I can say Elevation A. It'll bring it in here, and I can pick a scale if I'm shooting for 1/2 inch scale. So I can resize this around, and then I can edit, copy, edit, paste. I can make a paste of this, what I call a viewport, kind of from the AutoCAD days. And I can now change that to be a different scene, which is my ISO. And you can also modify the styles if you have a layout you don't necessarily need to apply the hidden style inside of SketchUp. You can actually do it here. But that's another way to use layout. And one other option I want to show you is using a online tool, because SketchUp really allows you to do presentations perhaps without putting it to paper. I know designers that are actually reviewing the drawings, reviewing the model with their customer, either using SketchUp, where they can actually look around with the customer in front of their computer and make changes. It's pretty fluid. And another thing that I was just starting to look at was is 3D Via has the ability, you can embed your model into a web page, and you can email them a link and they can actually walk around their kitchen. So, and there's actually a great YouTube video from them that shows how to prepare your model and upload it to the website, and then you can email the link, and then basically there's an avatar or a person that can allow you to walk around and look at different aspects of the model. Kind of a different approach, but definitely helps visualize what the kitchen looks like. So here we're looking, and I'm just using the arrow keys and moving into this kitchen that we've been working on. And I can go to a first person by clicking the eyeball, and using a mouse I can kind of look around this kitchen and go around, switch back, but allows you to kind of really get a different view of what the kitchen looks like. So I've run out of time. Thanks for watching this video.